again, to talk about football, to talk about, Gold Cup itself. We're going to discuss, all four groups and, just going to look over it and, give our opinion and analyze all four teams, in the group A, B, C, D, one of the group that caught my eye was that group A, Avia Gary versus LPO, very, very good games coming up. Costa Rica versus Mexico. But before we get into the video, how you doing? Thanks again for passing through on this Reggae Boy platform. But first of all, how you doing?
Thank you very much. It's been a long time, brother. Thank you for the invitation. Always, it's good to have conversation with the Jamaican boys. Thank you,
Yeah,
for inviting me.
hope you guys in Central America have been talking really good stuff about the Reggae Boys.
Well, you see, it's difficult to get a really clear insight of what can Jamaica do. But yeah, I mean, much of the opinions and the I will say the word is that you're gonna be
Yeah.
a tough opponent.
As always, about the Reggae Boys tend not to live up to their expectation at times. As you said, before we start this video, we kind of bipolar. You just don't know what the what Reggae Boys you will get. But Group A though, get into it. Group A, Mexico, Costa Rica, Suriname, and Dominican Republic. But before we get into Mexico, Costa Rica and Suriname, Dominican Republic, they debuted here in the Gold Cup. What's your takes around this Dominican team with new players coming over from Europe into this little island?
Well, you see, it reminds me of Guadeloupe, Suriname, Curacao. What you guys also sometimes do because your team is basically full European, but it's yeah. I mean, the players might be there, but you gotta perform as a squad, as a team. I honestly don't have high hopes. I kind of see them as one of the worst teams in the competition. Let's just focus on as a startup. Let's just focus on the under 20 World Cup and also on the Olympics because they qualified through CONCACAF. You remember 3 years ago, 2 years
Yeah.
ago, when it was 3 years ago, 2022, and they were one of the worst teams in the under 20. And I mean, in the Olympics, they were just very underachievement. They underperformed. So yes, they will be, I think, expectations, but I don't see them as a revelation. I don't see them as one of the top teams to beat up. I mean, Costa Rica, you gotta give them their credit. Through Mexico also. I mean, I think Mexico is the mostly favorite to win the competition, and that's it. I don't see the Dominican boys do something really huge. As I mentioned, I think first of all, it's tough in CONCACAF. You might think, no, it's a bunch of islands, and no. Yes, the quality is there, the talent is there, but you gotta know there are 11 players. If 4 or 6 or 5 of them are good, but look at Canada. They got Jonathan David, they got Alfonso Davis, but it wasn't enough. They were one of the worst teams in the World Cup. So if you know these are the high stages. I don't see Dominican Republic doing something really, really huge. I see Costa Rica, Mexico winning
Yeah.
the group, passing through.
That U20 World Cup qualifier, that played. I think it was in Central America. I don't remember if it was in Honduras.
It was in Honduras.
They beat us to get to
Yeah.
that World Cup, and actually they beat us to get into that Olympics. So I remember that like yesterday, But Mexico versus the Los Ticos, Costa Rica, very, very impressive matchup, especially the coach that is on the other side of the coin, Central America, Miguel Herrera, very, very important figure, in Costa Rican football at this moment. When this draw made, it was all about, El Piojo, what he's going to do against the L3. What you think about this big matchup? And it's going to be a rival until, Miguel Herrera is not at the end anymore for Costa Rica.
I think honestly that Miguel Herrera will be able to do a very good match. He wants to have his bit of revenge because he left Mexico, the national team, due to I would say unfortunately event. He tried to punch one of the most important journalists in Mexico, so it was a violent act. And he also got fired from Cholos de Tijuana in a really, underperformance matter. Announcer Club America, which is like the owner basically of the Mexican national team. I think he has a tip under his shoulder and he wants to defeat Mexico. It will be a good match, honestly. I look forward to that
Yeah,
match, to be quite honest.
one of the dark horse, in this group, Surinamese team, they get the players from Europe, a couple players, from the Dutch descent, but they have a very good team, barely missed out on a spot when they lost out, to the Canadian team, they got beaten over a two-legged tie, but they went to the Gold Cup in 2021, missed out on the last one, so they are back in it. And what's your takes on with this Surinamese team? Any surprise in within this group of players?
It all depends. It all depends in how they because if they're in the El Salvador, Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
Suriname team in the qualifiers. If they defeat El Salvador, then they have a ticket to the qualifiers, to the World Cup qualifiers, to the last three groups. So it depends, man. If they go through, then it's gonna be. I'm pretty sure Suriname is gonna bring all their players because they want to prepare to the World Cup. If they lose in El Salvador through La Selecta through El Salvador, then I think it's gonna be like a
yeah,
Walking Dead national team or like a zombie dead. Like I don't know. It's like flipping a coin.
yeah,
It's like a Russian roulette, I don't know. I don't know what. Like you see, I think in the first place, I think El Salvador or Suriname, there are certain teams that they shouldn't be in this World Cup. I mean, World Cup in this Gold Cup because the performance that they're gonna show or the team they're gonna bring to the World Cup, it depends on how they perform on the World Cup qualifiers. The same with Guatemala, same with the Dominican Republic. I mean, there are a lot of questions, but I don't see. I don't know. Honestly, I don't
yeah.
know what to expect for
As
Suriname.
you just said, you don't know what to expect for Suriname. They have to do the game, on the pitch. But in 2023, one of the qualification rounds, I think it was a semi-final round. Puerto Rico beat them, in that semi-final round to get to that Gold Cup in 2023, and they missed out last round of the Gold Cup. But I don't know about their big players. I think Becca, the player that played for Real Sociedad, these players are going to have to step up. And, if they're going to get something from this zone, they must go on to get points from Dominican Republic and try to at least give the Los Ticos a proper fight in that game coming up. But I can't see them beat, L3. But moving on to Group B, with Canada, Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao, another team with heritage players, Curacao, another island. It's like the islands are getting, involved with the big boys. You can't leave them out anymore. You have to involve them with everything that you're doing. But Canada, I've been watching, a couple of press conference, with Ronaldo Ruidia, where he's talking on the Canadian team, the performances that they did in the Copa America, Nations League, in the Gold Cup. Not so impressive recently in the Gold Cup, but what they did in the Nations League and in the Copa America, he admire that national team. It's a very good coach, Jesse March. But Honduras is up for a fight, in this zone. You remember 2023, they got knocked out, with Mexico, Qatar, and who was another team? Was in 80, was it? I think 80 was in that group. They got knocked out after last Gold Cup. But your takes on Honduran national team in this zone of, you probably say, group of death.
I don't think it's a group that you
Yeah,
asked me about
Honduras,
Honduras.
Canada, El Salvador, and Curacao.
Like as a whole, which one?
Honduras.
Which one do you want me to do? Honduras. Well, first of all, I don't think it's a group of death. And Honduras, they have to perform really good. I mean, here in the U.S., they have a lot of Honduran community. There's a lot of Honduran people. Uh, Most of the games I probably see them to be packed full of Honduran people, but it's gonna be tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, it's also like a Russian roulette. You don't know what version of Honduras. That if I think it's funny, but this is gonna be the truth. The only when they see like the green
Mm-hmm.
shirt, like the Mexico shirt, they play their butts off. They're like, They're like the World Cup for them.
Yeah.
Like this, that's like the final. I mean, that versus Cuba, they were not performing good. I don't know, man. Honduras. I mean, I wish I could say that they're gonna perform, but I don't see them. I don't know, man. I think they might go through, but it's not gonna be convincing. They're gonna be
I
still
heard,
playing really bad football. Honestly, I don't. I think it's a crisis there. I think you saw that when they were playing versus who, British Islands or Anguilla. Who they were
is it
playing? They
Belly?
were losing 2-0, man.
Uh,
Bermudas, no?
Bermuda, one of those teams.
Bermudas, no?
Belly is one of those teams.
Belly.
Yeah. They were,
Yeah. Bermuda. I
yeah,
think it was Bermudas, man. One of the worst teams, not in CONCACAF, in the whole war,
2-0.
and they were losing
That,
2-0.
but
I was.
if you talk about
Bro.
that game, is Roman Kyoto is the difference in that squad.
No, Kyoto is washed out, man. I think it's Bicho Palma. I think it's that. You see, that's the problem. David Ruiz is not playing. They got Rigo Ribas. I mean, their squad is full of talent, but they just, I mean, they underperform always. I think it's a matter of psychology. They don't have that hunger. It's not like remember the
What
good old
about
days with
Choco?
Suazo, Pabon Plume,
Choco
Costly.
Lozano.
Huh? I don't know where he is. I think he's in Mexico, but he's a club. You see, there are certain players that perform better in their clubs than in the national team. Honduras, I will say there are only 4 or 5 players that I really look forward to watching.
Very good.
Kervin Arriaga,
Yeah.
Josep Rosales, Andy Najar, Menjivar, Edwin Rodriguez. That's it. The other ones are
Flores?
dispensable. Even Bicho Palma. David Flores, it's okay, but I mean, I'm saying the players that can
Maldonado,
make the
the
huge
defender,
difference.
no? Okay.
Nah.
I like Nahar. He's back in the MLS. Yeah, I love him.
Najar is
He
good.
played
No,
with his
Najar
heart. I
has.
love him. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's really good, but not even Palma. Honestly, I mean, I know you're watching the news, but Palma he might go to another to Dynamo Kiev or Dynamo Kiev. So you see, Celtic
He's in
doesn't want him.
Olympics. Yeah,
Olympiacos doesn't want him.
yeah,
I don't. If you go to Kiev, Dynamo Kiev,
yeah.
bro, you were in one of the best
Celtic,
clubs
yeah.
in the world, which is Celtic. You know, you were in Olympiacos. They won the Conference League. Mendelibar doesn't want you. The Scottish ones doesn't want you. I honestly believe that if he doesn't get a good offer, he might end up in the MLS, which is a good. Honestly, I'd rather see him in the MLS than in Kiev. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like that player, honestly.
Yeah,
he's good,
talented.
talented, but he's a slacker, man. That's what Meneliver said. He's a slacker.
The Canadian
I don't
team, Alfonso Davis will be out with that ACL injury, but and Canada, the clear favorites of this group.
I don't know if they're gonna be able to send their. Do you know if they're gonna send their squad, their like the
Yes.
A team?
I think they will
which
send
team
the
they're
A
gonna send?
team because this is the last tournament before the World Cup for them. They only have friendlies game to play from, September, October, November.
I don't know because I think I heard a rumor or like a report that all the teams were pissed because remember last year, I think it was Buchanan, no? He
ACL,
broke his
Buchanan.
ACL. Their medical servers were not performing. Now, Nations League, the best player, Alfonso Davis, out. I don't know. I heard a rumor that the clubs in Europe were hesitant to send their players to the Canadian national team because due to their lack of professional, being professional, look at transparency. I think two tournaments in a row. Oh man, I mean those medical service. I don't know if I was at Porto, if I was Lille to be trusting them. That happened with Mexico too. I remember Porto used to tell the national team that Tecatito Corona, Layun, Reyes were injured, so they didn't send them. You have Steven Eustachio, for example, there in Porto.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's what I'm asking. I don't know if they're gonna send
let's
their
see
A
what's going to
squad.
happen. But this one though, newly appointed, Hernan El Biolo Gomez, the Colombian, is back again coaching another Central American team, after failure, coaching the La H. Remember this guy was the one that, responsible for the Panamanian team get to Russia in 2018. What kind of magic he can work up with this El Salvadoran team?
As again, the same thing with Suriname. It depends because there are two choices, brother. Either they defeat Suriname and Anguilla and then go through the qualifiers, which means they're gonna do the best, the most impossible thing to bring their every single good player, like their A team, Roldan, Zabaleta, Major Hill, Brian Hill, everybody, or if they are defeated by Suriname and they don't win versus Anguilla, then
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Because, well, I don't know what they're going to do because Bolillo's contract says that if he doesn't qualify to the qualifiers, he's
If
done.
he's not, if he doesn't qualify this team to the World Cup by the end of November, or get them to the final stage, he's done.
No, no, no. If he doesn't qualify versus Suriname, because if you defeat
The
Suriname,
final round.
you go
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
group stages, the three. Yeah. If he doesn't do that, then the
Wow.
contract is
A
voided.
coach.
So there's a team that with no, you have no coach. I don't know, man. I don't know what we're gonna do. The same thing with Suriname. I think it's the same thing. So it's a big question mark. I don't know what to say about El Salvador. It's a big question
What
mark.
was that main reason why David Zoniga, the former Thomas Christiansen assistant, why he got fired? What was the issue?
They were not happy with their performance. He was underperforming. He was fighting with everybody. I think he knew it was done, and also the government from El Salvador got involved. They really wanted to go to the World Cup. They saw that the under 17 went to the World Cup, so they were like, you know what, we want to take a lot of emphasis on trying to develop our team. And I don't know if you know, but Bukele's government is behind the national team, trying to get them to the World Cup. So it's a huge movement now in El
And
Salvador. It's huge for them.
he's very
So as I'm
experienced.
telling
He
you,
brought the Colombian team to
you see, Bolillo,
Yeah.
his experience, as you said, yeah. Well, I think their methods and the way he plays is already like old fashioned. Now you see Jamaica, you see Guadeloupe, you see Panama, you see Nicaragua, because you face Nicaragua. It looks completely different from 5 years, 10 years. You see them like you saw them, bro. The physique, the level of professionality, the performance, high performance. You don't see that from El Salvador national team. Most of the players they get tired after 40 minutes.
Where
El
is it?
Salvador
The most of the El Salvadoran
League.
players are locally in that squad, playing locally. Most of them are in local.
It's half and half, because you see, that's the problem. Loniga, he got. They say he was racist. He didn't like black people. I know you know that he got a fight with the Brian Hill. I mean, Hill
Yeah.
there, Colombian, and they're black. He fought with them. I got a rumor. I'm very connected with El Salvador national team. I have a lot of connections, and they told me that it was racism.
Yeah, it's very sad.
So he was fighting with the Legionarios. He was fighting with the players abroad, and he was focusing more on the local talent. And you saw the way they performed. They couldn't defeat Puerto Rico. They couldn't defeat Bonaire. It was crazy, man. It was pandemonium there, man.
But I don't see Curacao do anything, in that zone. It's all about, if Honduras.
I think it depends, man. It depends. As I'm telling you, if El Salvador loses versus Suriname, then I think Curacao is going to defeat El Salvador. And I don't know, man. The islands, somehow, they always are difficult for the Central American teams. I'm not saying Curacao is going to defeat Honduras 3-0, but they might tie it. Watch out, man. They have the Dutch heritage.
Yeah.
They know how to play.
They missed out on last World Cup. They were in it with 2021 with, with you got Mexico, TNT, and Guatemala. But moving on, to Group C, where the Reggae Boys, the Canel Boys, and actually Guadeloupe, the French descent team. Yet to be a FIFA member, Guadeloupe. I don't know what they're waiting on to be independent. To be a FIFA member, so they can try to get to a World Cup qualifier. Which I think they have some very good players. They have 10 players in that last squad that beat Nicaragua 1-0 home and away. Played from the second tier in French football to the fifth tier. So they have very professional players. They have players in Luxembourg, Turkey, Serbia, Belgium. So, and I have a player in Germany play for Union Berlin.
Germany, they
So
plays in
yeah,
Germany.
they have
Yeah.
professional players playing at elite level. So they expected to be watched. But Jamaica and the Panamanian team is all about this group. Whichever team will finish on top, and I think with both teams playing each other, at what match day 3 in the group, it's all about the winner will advance on top of the zone. But Panama team, you cannot hide or cannot talk negative on what they are doing. They're playing excellent football. The manager is getting the best out of the players at this moment. I think Coco, is playing out of his skin. Is getting better. Not so much for Pumas in the Liga MX. I don't know what he's waiting on to start to perform really well, for Pumas. I saw him score the other day on Vancouver in the CONCACAF Champions League. But Panamanian team and the Reggae Boys, what you think?
Panamanian, well, you see, Panama for me is the best team in Central America, and you saw it's the second best team in CONCACAF. There is a rumor that probably Thomas Christensen is going to send a B team, a mixture of youngsters with some players that haven't been called up recently, like Fidel Escobar, Andrade, for example. Certain players that have been injured, no? Bárcenas. And well, you see, I think Panama is one of the best teams, and I think they're going to compete for the cup. I don't see them underperforming. I think they're going to be the best team. I think they might win the 3 games. Honestly, I mean, it wouldn't be no surprise for nobody. I'm just saying as plain as it is. They're a very, very, very sophisticated team in the sense that if you see the team, the players play like 2 or 3 positions. The way Thomas Christensen has built up this team is amazing. They are qualified to the 17 Cup, 2020 World Cup. They've been performing really good in all the categories.
The women,
in all the under 17s,
qualified for the World
20s.
Cup as well.
You see, I don't know about. I don't know that much about
They were
women's
in
soccer.
our group.
I don't know.
The Reggae Girls. That's a team we beat in.
I'm a completely ignorant in the women's.
But I'm
gonna be
just
honest.
saying,
I don't know.
they went to the Women's
Nothing.
World Cup the last time out.
Well, well, you see, they're very professional. That's what I'm saying. Jamaica, I mean, as I told you, I think you see a lot of people are confident. If you like football, you would say like for example, the people in Jamaica probably believe in or trust their team to be performing. As if you see in paper, it looks like a really powerful team. Probably you got Mason Greenwood probably already by then. But if you ask me, I don't know, bro, because that was last year also in Copa America, and you were like the worst. It was a nightmare, honestly. I didn't enjoy watching Jamaica. It was really, really bad. So I don't know, man. I mean, you guys also with the Nicaragua, there were some really good moments, and there were some moments like what I'm watching. Like I don't know. That's the problem with Jamaica. The way of performance is like a spiral or like a carousel or like a merry-go-round. You don't know what direction your guys going. I don't know, man. You're a big question mark.
Very.
Honestly, it's very difficult to decode. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from you. If you ask me, I don't see you guys qualifying to the next round. So I think
that's a big one. To say the Reggae Boys, will be eliminated. Coming match day 3 versus Panama, but a lot of the Reggae Boys fans locally and in the diaspora, living here in the UK and Canada as well, have that same sentiment. Not say we're going to, fall out from the group stage, but that the team, you just don't know what you're going to get. The team is underperforming way below par. Steve McLaren is yet to get the best tune out of the key players, like the Bailey, the Demar Gray being such a horrible form at this moment. He's not getting the best shape for the team. If you look at how we play in both legs, the St. Vincent, we almost got beaten in St. Vincent on the cricket pitch. And we,
Just one question. Okay, if I don't know if I want to ask you that now. You know better. Is it because the federation is fighting with you guys that you guys gave him a woman's shirt to Michael Antonio? He got pissed because they were giving women's clothes.
there's this,
Is that true?
I,
Like the federation is
I,
just crashing out and they were like in
I
a
heard of
strike?
something like that. We always have preparation problem. Now things are slightly better. They are trying to accommodate the players in much professional manner. So things are getting much better. The other day they paid off all their debt, so they're debt free. They
It's crazy. One of the most important, if not the most important, Caribbean team, and
yeah.
you guys have problems.
So
It's
they're
incredible.
hiring important people around the federation to let the off the field issues improve. So
Okay.
we as reggaeboyz fans, improvement have been made, over the last year or so after the Copa America. So let's see if that can transition onto the World Cup qualifier. But before that, we have to get the job done in the Gold Cup. But
Because that's important. Like it or not, I've seen it with Guatemala, I've seen it with El Salvador, I've seen it with Honduras, with Mexico, you've seen it with Canada, with the US. If you have, just look at it. Look at Argentina. They were able to figure
yeah,
out the things with their federation. They were World Cup winners. Look at Spain,
yeah,
professional as no other. Look at England. Yeah, but if you see, for example, um, you look Germany. They were. I'm not gonna get into
you know,
politics, but they were really left winging when. And look
yeah,
what happened with Hansi
you
Flick.
see,
Look at Italy.
yeah,
They were. You see, the federation is very important. So if you as a Jamaican federation, you guys are able to figure out the issues, I'm pretty sure
I,
you will be.
I
The players will
I
fit better.
think the
They
issues
will
off
feel
the
it.
field, it's getting better. As I said, it's getting better.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
as what it was when Leon Bailey had done that interview about the federation. So it's a lot better
Okay.
than 2, 3 years
Okay.
ago.
Okay.
So it's much better. But it's all about what Steve McLaren, how he can, turn around this team on the pitch. But there's this sentiment around Steve McLaren as well that he's not connecting to the players, around, in the pool. He's like he's a little bit, not
Yeah.
knowing what's going on with certain players, what he's doing at his club, so he's not even at the moment living in Jamaica. As soon as a game finish, he's back in the UK. We understand a lot of our players are in the UK from the Premier League, the Championship, League One, and the process is continuing that we're going to get at least 3 to 5 players in a for the Gold Cup that their passport will be ready. So let's see if he can get those that up and the T's crossed and get the team to play well on the pitch. It's all about what he can do on the pitch, and us fans, we want to see performances. We want to see the team play with tenacity, with wear them hard on their sleeve, and wear that national team jersey with pride. So we just want to see a structure, chemistry, and an understanding of what the national team is doing and what is the process moving forward.
That's very important. As I told you, I think when you guys are able to figure out what happened with your federation and the people involved, things are gonna be changing. That's what happened with the York
Yeah,
in Trinidad. In Trinidad and Mexico, they were fighting with the Coca and the guys in the federation, and they were not performing. You see, it's different. It's very difficult when you're managing not 11 players, because in the national team, it's physios, doctors, psychologists, coaches, stuff. And if you guys have issues there, then it's
yeah,
gonna be reflected on the pitch. So Jamaica, I mean, now that you're telling me this, we might see a different face from Jamaica. But if you ask
yeah.
me, I don't see you guys
I
performing.
understand
I
why
don't
you
see
said
you.
that. Because this Guatemala team is a tough team. They yet to concede a goal in World Cup qualifier. They went unbeaten in last Gold Cup as well. Us beat them in Cincinnati, in the last Gold Cup in that quarterfinals, and
It
it
wasn't
was a
that much.
very
You
tough
know that
game.
much.
If you ask me, they played a better football. You understand? So we just grab our
Yeah,
moment and we stuck with it. And then we won the
exactly,
game 1-0
exactly.
and move on to the semi-final where Mexico beat us 3-0. So Guadeloupe, again, a team that is in a transition, will, what I'm hearing, they will get more French players. This is back-to-back Gold Cup for them. So the transition, from getting, French heritage players in this team, it's much easier because they are not a FIFA member. So these players will easily can get a Guadeloupe passport. You know, we're going to move on, to Group D, where Trinidad, USA, Haiti, and Saudi Arabia. Qatar have made some got some big results in the last couple of Gold Cups. You see, the Saudi Arabia team can do that transition and continue of what Qatar did in the last two Gold Cups. Yeah,
Saudi Arabia. Well, you see, again, I think the Saudi Arabia is gonna take it as a World Cup for them because they signed like a agreement. It's not only this World Cup; it's gonna be the next World Cup. You know that, right? In the next
they're
World
going
Cup,
to
they're
be
gonna be
present
present.
again. Okay. Yeah.
2026,
Yeah.
27. They're gonna be also, so they're gonna take it serious. This is a
Yeah.
serious team. You know that they had a really good expectation from them. So I see them going through. I think the fact that most of the players are playing versus, they're playing versus the one of the, like, Firmino, Sadio Mane. You're playing
Yeah.
versus Cristiano Ronaldo versus Malcolm. You're playing versus Laporte. I mean, you're gonna learn something. So I see Saudi Arabia making it. If you ask me, I don't see the US making it. I see probably 80 going through. I don't see the US, man. The US have a lot of problems, man. Um, it was really, well, for me. I'm very happy. I don't like the US. I'm Mexican, and we have really good tough rivalry with the US. But just talking very seriously, the way they performed versus
Yeah.
Panama. I don't know. You saw the game. It seems like they were off. It seemed like the players didn't care about the national team. And you see, it's gonna be tough to say, but it's also the truth. For example, you as Jamaican, me as Mexican, people in the Caribbean, Central America, we take football as a way of living,
Yeah.
as a way of,
It's a
it's
reason.
for us it's a
Hmm.
religion. And then for the American boys, it's like a pastime. It's a hobby. It's just like a Sunday game. It's not life or death for them. So they were knocked out by Panama in the Copa Oro. I mean,
Yeah.
Gold Cup last year. Remember, they were not 2 years ago. They
Panama.
were knocked out by Panama in the Copa America. Now they're knocked out by Panama again in the Nations League. And people don't talk about it that much in the media or in the sports in the US because nobody cares about the US national team. They care about the NFL, they care about the NBA, the Lakers, Chiefs, and the Yankees. They don't care about their national team. You see, football or soccer is constant. You have to build up. Panama is building up. You see, like it or not, Mexico, they've been winning. So it's also a huge boost of confidence. They're boosting their confidence, and they're getting momentum in the right time at the right moment, as you said, just before the World Cup. So you see, I don't see the US making a problem here. I see Saudi Arabia, and I mean, I really hope it could be Trinidad or Haiti because also Pochettino, I don't see him as the right fit for the national team. And if I think you've been watching, the best
Luna.
player
Yeah.
was Diego
Real
Luna.
Salt Lake.
Diego Luna is from
MLS. Yeah.
the MLS. If they base more the national team on the MLS, it would be a better squad than their guys in Europe because most of the guys in Europe are not playing. They're like like a scholarship by they're sponsored by the US national team to go to Europe. As I'm telling you, it's a pastime for them. For us, man, for us, me, us, we cry, we bleed soccer, football, whatever they wanna call it, and they don't. Honestly, the best players that they got and the best players that perform
Yeah.
football are the Latin
Yes.
American guys, the
Yes.
Latin, the
They are taking.
Hispanics.
They are taking over
How many
MLS.
Hispanics are there? I mean, I'm not. I hope they lose every single game. But there is something that is really obvious. I think you watch it. The best players are in the MLS, and most of them are Latinos. They don't want to do it. They want to put up, I don't know, me Captain America Pulisic. They have to put Musa because politics and clicks and media.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I think they had a really
Yeah,
huge problem.
the US. I'm so happy that they're going through all of this trauma within their national team. But it's just
Me too. I'm happy.
difficult for me here now. Say they might not get through, but we have to just remember, Trinidad and Tobago beat them already. In a Nations League. Yeah,
Oh
Trinidad
yeah,
beat them.
that's true.
Trinidad beat
Yeah,
them
that's true.
twice back to back in
Yeah,
Trinidad and Tobago. So in 2018 and recently, and their
recently.
poor run of form, away in CONCACAF, it's terrible. It's terrible. So let's see how they're going to monitor this group with Trinidad. It's a kind of tricky team. It's a tricky game. You remember
Tricky, yeah.
that
Tricky,
game
yeah.
that 80 gave the Mexican team last World Cup was a very tight game. It was very close. You know, it was a
Yeah,
very close
it
game. The
was, yeah.
Qatarian team beat Mexico last time out. So
Yeah, they
if
did.
this Saudi Arabian team can give a repeat of what Argentina got in the first game of the World Cup, they're
They're
gonna
gonna
take
take
it.
it
They're
serious.
gonna
They're
take
gonna
it
take it
serious.
serious. That's for sure.
But I
Yeah,
agree with you.
yeah.
Pochettino.
Yes,
I
they
don't
are.
think Pochettino is the right fit for this national team, and too much of bias selection in this US team with the overseas
It
players
is.
for the,
It
the,
is.
the Mexican for not the Mexican for the MLS players. For Luna was the best young
Yep.
player in the MLS last season, and if they got that opportunity, you could see, the quality of, and they didn't really even want to pick Luna, and
Hmm.
he got in because of injuries, So Pochettino said, "Hey, I'm going to give him a
Hmm.
chance," and he went out there and he was the best player on the
He was the
pitch.
best. You see, and you got guys like Timothy Weah, Yunus Musa. You got guys like Pulisic. You have guys like Giovanni Reina. I mean, we're talking about one of the
Yeah.
probably you say the best in CONCACAF, and a guy from Real Salt Lake was the
Let me
best.
say,
You have a
let me
huge
say
problem.
this:
You have a huge problem.
as soon as this US team played a proper team, they're gonna fall. Panama, it happened
Oh yeah.
so many times. As you said, Nations League, Copa America, the Gold Cup. It's happened so many times. Canadian team, they will beat this US team.
Kinda.
Previously, when they won the first couple of Nations League, the L3 Mexico was a little bit down on their face. Now Mexico get a better coach in my eyes, a proper coach, a more understanding system, and that our team should play. US cannot beat them anymore. So as soon as they played a proper team in this region, that's it. It's happened. It's happened even when the
Bye
Reggae
bye.
Boys got to the one of the final. I think in 2015, a proper Reggae Boy team, they just cannot beat you. So they more for beat the teams that is not no team structure, no team chemistry. A team is more on their face. But as soon as this US team meet a proper national team, that's it for them. They go on to lose a game. So that's it. With the group, we have covered everything. But I want to get this on the record. Why you think Javier Aguirre is not doing an improved job on what previous managers did in the past? No, no, no.
Why he's
I
a better
asked you.
fit?
I WhatsApp messaged you the other day, and I said, "Do you think Javier Aguirre is doing a much better job than previous, Diego Coco, Jimmy Lozano, the previous managers?" What is your main issues with Rafa and Javier Aguirre?
Well, you see, the thing is that he is like the third time he's been in our national team. One thing is very certain: he has really good press, so he's able to manage. He's like a guy that manages egos and personalities, like a Carlo Ancelotti, like a guy who manages personalities that is able to get pressure over the players. Very managerial, He's in that sense. I mean, he was able to coach Forlan, Kun Agüero, uh, remember Sabrosa, Simao Sabrosa with Atletico Madrid for many years. He's really a good coach. I will say he's doing a job in able to mediate, try to control the egos, because Mexico national team, most of the national teams are a bunch of egos, like collection of egos. I don't think he's doing something really like massive, important. No,
But he's
Mexico
doing the
can play much
basic.
better. I think so, but he's doing the basics exactly, and like it or not, he's gaining momentum. I think we can do better, but he's doing a good job,
Yeah,
just a good job,
that's it.
better than the other players,
Yeah.
better than the other coaches. Yeah, but you see the problem with the other coaches. Coca tried to put discipline. Bye bye. Jimmy Lozano, he tried to do his own way, trying to force players to believe in a system or something. He had no experience. He only was able to manage it under 23. It's a different stuff when you manage, good old players that are in Europe, champions, than youngsters. So, I mean, I'm sad because he was a Mexican young coach, and I really want him to succeed. He couldn't succeed. And with Javier Aguirre, he has his top hand. He has Rafa Marquez, which players respect him. That's also a good spot because you have Marquez, who won a sextete, who was in Barcelona with Messi, Ronaldinho. So you have like a stronger voice, like a voice of
When when when
respect,
when,
and
when
players
Rafa
respect that. So
speak,
it's
the
just doing the
players will listen
basics.
because they will look at him. He have done what they need to do, so they will
Of
listen.
course, yeah.
He played at the highest level.
This remind me. Well, just it will sound crazy, but this reminds me of Ancelotti and Zidane. Remember when they were Real Madrid? So Ancelotti was the guy, and Zidane was he was just there learning. But yeah, he's not doing something amazing. He's not doing something out of this, as I told you, out of this world. He's just managing egos. And like it or not, if you look at Mexico in their squad and the players are really good. I don't judge their talent. They're full of talent. The problem is here in the mentality, very poor mentality. There are a lot of players, Cordova, Alexis Vega, Romo,
I saw
Antuna,
he brought back.
a lot of players. For example, I want to tell you this. Look,
Yeah,
Hector Herrera, right? He was in Atletico Madrid, and I think you remember, he got Saul Iñiguez out, he got Thomas Partey out. He was keeping Herrera, and he was happy with Herrera. Cholo Simeone, which him, when he doesn't have players buy. And then Houston Dynamo went, and they were looking for him, and he accepted, like, yeah, yeah, for more millions of dollars. When Cholo Simeone is like, bro, I want you in my team. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm gonna go into Houston Dynamo. There are players there that they gave him millions to go to Betis. Cordova had got like a Porto, Benfica, and Betis. No, he wanted to stay in Mexico. Vega, Porto wanted him
Alex
to
Vega.
stay in Mexico. They
Why?
Alexis Vega. So they like money. They rather, you see, for example, Benfica is paying 10 million, and Chivas says, I give you 15 million, stay here. Okay, I stay here. I told you, Cordova. Betis is saying, I give you 12 millions, America. Tigres is, I give you 15 millions. It goes to Tigres.
Wow.
That's like most of the national team in Mexico. You see certain players in Mexico that are in Europe because they want to succeed, because they want to, it's like a professional stuff. They want to be the best in their position. But because the money in Mexico is really, really good. You see Sergio Ramos there. You see Sergio Canales there. You see
Better.
Guignac there. You see James Rodriguez there
Yeah,
because of the
yeah,
money.
very good. Since you're speaking on Liga MX, what you think about the reggae ball player Shaman Nichols for Tijuana? Not so
Well, you
good at
see,
this moment. He
uh-huh.
started out, got some minutes, but
Let's see next
Apertura.
in the next Liga next Apertura, because you have Juan Carlos Osorio, then they change manager, so it's a tough change. But Cholos with the Juan Carlos Osorio was a good team. I don't know what happened there, but he can get the Mexican League. To be quite honest, brother, I think it's gonna be the best probably league in North America. People were saying, "No, the
It's
MLS." I
Eddie.
don't see the MLS.
Eddie. It's
I think it's
already the
going
best
down.
league in CONCACAF. Ooh, yeah.
Who, Mexican League?
Yeah, look at
Really?
no.
People were
Look at
saying no, it
the
was MLS.
champions for the CONCACAF Champions League.
Well, a lot of people are saying MLS that now that MLS is better because of Messi, because
Pachuca
stuff like
wasn't
that.
the greatest team in Liga MX, but they dominate the MLS teams. Look at what they did to Philadelphia Union. You-
Well, Pachuca, they defeated Botafogo, brother. They defeated Alali. They were Pachuca,
No, but
bro.
in Liga
Come
MX,
on.
they weren't playing so fantastic football. There's something different when it comes down to the continental tournament. Solomon Randon was
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you what was the situation with Mexican League, and I think I see them. I saw them, and I think this is the truth. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, and you decide. I think that so we were talking about, or how we interpret football, no, or interpretation of football is like is a way of living. It's a style that we defines probably sometimes my opinions, the way I'm feeling because of my team, like Club America is my team. In Mexico, if you don't perform good, it doesn't matter if your name is Sergio Ramos. It doesn't matter if you're James Rodriguez. If you don't perform good, the fans are gonna yell at you. Look at Chicharito; they're grilling him. Chivas, because it doesn't matter if you were champion in Europe. It doesn't matter if you won Premier Leagues. You have to perform in Mexico, and fans are gonna react. So you see, there's a folklore. There's a way of there's a burden on you. You have to perform in the MLS, brother. If you don't perform 2 or 3 years, look at Bernardeschi, Relation Insigne.
yeah,
Where
they're
are
still at
they?
their club.
I haven't seen them since like 5 years. They don't care. They go there to retire. I think was
Zlatan,
Zlatan said that. There's a league
yeah,
of retirement, bro. Why many players
the
they don't go
pressure,
to Mexico?
the
Because if
pressure,
they don't perform there,
the,
bye, bro. Next they're out. Florent
the
Thauvin, world
pressure,
champion. Where is he?
the pressure.
I mean, that's what makes the
Yeah,
Mexican league stronger. And I
it
think,
is
thank
the
God, like
strongest
these
league.
players, Ocampos, and those
It
players
is the
went.
strongest
Yeah,
league in the region. It is. It is. Yeah, yeah,
hopefully
yeah.
it gets better. I think
Yeah,
they might get
but
better.
yeah, nice talk. Nice talk about CONCACAF football. Really appreciate you to come back on here and discuss CONCACAF football. The Gold Cup is just right around the corner. A couple of months ago from now.